Hey everybody, change that there for quick. So are ETs physical or non-physical? This is a question I get asked a lot. It's something that uh, uh, I don't know. It gives me a weird twitch to some degree because I know there are a lot of people out there that promote this idea that ETs are non-physical beings, and that's not my experience at all. Now there are non-physical beings, but I'm going to see if I can dig into this a little bit for you as I speak. Maybe share some experiences. So first of all, are there? Well, we have to define extraterrestrial. Let's start there. We have to define extraterrestrial. Now, when I say extraterrestrial or ET, I am speaking of anything that is non-human and not known in our general society as being in existence, I guess is what you might say. So when I see ETs, I kind of lump everything into there together, whether it's faeries, Sasquatch, extraterrestrials, meaning galactics, because extraterrestrial just means extra Earth. You could say extra, more terrestrial. I've seen that split up as terrestrial, meaning Earth, so extra Earth, or extra terrestrial, which is like extra Earth celestial, putting the celestial word into it too. There's a couple different breakdowns I've seen, but for me, it means fairies, Sasquatch, inner Earth beings, galactics, interdimensionals, beings of all the layers, all the dimensions, anything extra that we are not like in a public space of awareness of. So what we're talking about depends on which beings we're speaking of and which layers of existence. For example, angels, in my opinion, are non-physical beings. True angelic beings are non-physical. I've worked with all the archangels. I mean, a lot of people in this space do. Archangels, I've worked with other angels. I've had little tiny angels that are angelics, just not as big or strong and very much more like us as a person, but energetic beings that have phased through my wall as just white, I wouldn't even call them balls of energy, like fog, like more of a fog of energy that comes through the wall and works with me, and they're angelics. They are energetic beings. They do not have a physical form. Now, physical form meaning a density like us, hands, feet, that sort of thing. They are more energy, because physicality is perception, and that's one of my struggles when I hear people talking about this subject, is because a lot of people don't look at physicality as a perception, but it really is a perception. It's a perception of light. In our world, it's the light that is reflected, emitted, or absorbed from an object. We cannot see an object if it does not reflect, emit, or absorb certain frequencies of light, certain wavelengths of light. So it can still be physical, it can still have form, it can still be there, but we won't see it if it's not of the appropriate light spectrum that's doing one of those three things. Now, when it comes to physicality too, it's a perception of force and magnetism. So when I put my hands together, my hands don't actually touch. They don't touch. They look like they're touching. We feel them touching, but nothing actually touches because there's a force repelling them. So when I put them together, there's a force repelling them, so they can't actually touch. We just feel the energy and I don't know how to explain this entirely, but we feel the energy, maybe the electricity, and we have senses that give us like, oh, hey, we're touching, each other. We're touching our hands. And if those forces did not repel, our hands could still exist, but we could push through each other because we didn't have repulsive forces essentially pushing back and forth. So there are densities of energy where you can push through those energies. You can move through different things. Does not mean those beings are non-physical. They're still physical. We just don't perceive them as physical. And that's a very key thing. You know, a lot of fae, a lot of nature spirits, some nature spirits are energetic in nature. They are balls of energy. They have no form. They're just moving around, doing their thing, providing energy in different ways. And then there are things like gnomes. Gnomes have physicality. They have physical form, but a lot of people don't experience that because they can't see them. They can't feel them. They live on a different layer of the earth. The layer has multiple states of existence. We're on one layer of density of the earth that creates our dimensional space, the world we experience, and you can experience other layers by shifting into them vibrationally, and that usually takes a portal or a wormhole for the most part. There are worlds like I speak of Frederick a lot. Frederick's a gargoyle, and I came out of my body astrally and attached to his body. Now he has physicality in his world, and he is also astral when he comes here. His conscious energy comes here and moves around and does stuff. And so I held on to his energy and rode him up into the sky. Now when I'm astral and I'm holding on to him and he has form, I can see his form, I can feel his form. That is still physical in a sense because my experience in that moment is physical to the vibration and the world that I'm experiencing. It does not mean he does not exist. It does not mean he cannot interact with the world. It means that we are at such a high vibration when I am astral and he is astral too in his space. From his space, he has come down astrally to pick me up, basically. We are very high vibrational, but we can still feel each other's energy. We can see what we look like. We can perceive all this stuff. So there's physicality to that in that space, in that moment. It is not the physicality we experience now. It is not the physicality of me talking to you on this phone while sitting by a tree with my feet on the ground. It's not the same because the senses are different and I'm using my energy to perceive things. But then you go up through a portal. He opens a portal in the sky and we go up and we crawl through, and it's like crawling up through a hole and looking out, and you know, we crawl. Here's the portal. We're looking up at the portal in the sky. We go up, we crawl through and look out, and this is actually grass and ground on the sky. So we climb up to move on the ground of this world, and that's his layer of existence. Now that is a very physical place. He was astral, his body was in the distance, and you know, he is a huge being in his physical space, and they have beings in their space. And when I was there, Zetas were there. There was a disc was waiting. We crawled out, and they were doing that to show me like, hey, we can shift dimensions. And the ship, like, they waved at me, they got into their ship, and I just saw the ship do this, like, and I heard a, and then it just went and snapped and shifted dimensions. You know, most of the ships, people say they're silent, and they are, but it's like they're silent when they're moving through the skies. This was like when they shifted dimensions, there was like a hum, like a very, very low, like, and then it snapped out of existence, shifting into another world. So, you know, Zetas, people who have encountered Zetas, Greys, all these other beings, they are physical beings like you and I. You know, they look like you and I. The difference is they can shift their vibration so that we can't see them. So they can physically be standing beside you and you would never know it, because they have shifted their vibration to stay at a higher state where it doesn't reflect, emit, absorb the light the way that we experience it. They are still very physical beings. One of the ones that I don't get is Arcturians. I see a lot of stuff about how Arcturians are non-physical beings, but that's not my experience. There are layers to that, to those spaces. There are, I did an Arcturian activation recently that I drew, and there are very high frequency Arcturians, very, very high frequency, that appear to people as rays of light, as light beings, as a lot of people would call them. They're light beings. They're extremely high vibrational, but they can I'm just asking Illyria here. She's one of my current Arcturian guides, and she's super high vibrational, super high. And she's basically saying, like, they're in a very high vibrational space of existence that has a physical nature of its own, but they can shift their density with thought. They can just simply shift down to lower densities for us to experience them too. But then there are other Arcturians, because we have to remember, as we move forward, one of the things I'm doing is breaking this paradigm of, I don't know if paradigm's the right word, but this stereotype of races being one word, Arcturians being blue people with bigger heads and robes. Even though a lot of people that work with Arcturians, you see the same kind of imagery over and over, it's because they haven't connected with the other Arcturians. Arcturus is a star with many planets around it and many other stars in the area. And those other planets have other physical beings who vibrate at different levels. So we are beings on our planet. We're humans. We vibrate at a certain level. Gnomes are beings on our planet who vibrate at a different level and have a different layer of existence that's very close to ours that we can experience and see. Sasquatches are the same way. Very physical beings, but they vibrate at a different level, and they can shift with their mind into different spaces, which is why you hear stories of people seeing Bigfoot or Sasquatch, or is Grassman another name for them. There are many different names for them depending on where you're at. Yeti, I forget the Australian name, but you hear these stories of people see them walking through a field, and they're just watching them like, oh my God, it's there. But then it knows they're there because the telepathy and the consciousness, and they can feel us. So then they get caught, essentially, and they look over, and the person will be like, and then it looked at me and it just disappeared. It took a step and was gone. It shifts its vibration. It's not opening portals or doing anything like that. They're shifting their mind. They're using their abilities. There are ways to shift energy around you to turn invisible. Does not mean they are not physical. That's the biggest thing, is like, people will be like, well, it's a non-physical being. I go, was it really a non-physical being, or was it just your perception that makes it non-physical? I've had so many ETs show up at night that they walk through the house. They hold my hand. I can feel their skin. I can see them without seeing through them. They are physical. They pop in, they teleport in, they drop down, they move around. They're looking at things. They're saying hello, usually when I'm asleep, because it's a safe time. They know it's safer when humans are sleeping. And then I roll over and they'll be sitting there, standing beside me, and I'll be like, are you really here or not? And then they grab and they're like, can I hold your hand? And they'll hold my hand, and we'll feel each other's skin. I've had ETs that are like, they want to feel human skin, so they've never felt it before. There was a group that had never felt it, and they were just so happy to touch a human hand, because they were like, we never felt that. Well, like, it's weird to them, there are different skin types. And then there are beings who are far more energetic, like the archangels, and Mother Mary is one. And dragons are another one, where they're super high vibrational. They can be energy. They can be anywhere. They're energy. They're far more powerful than anything we can imagine, because we're not at those states of consciousness yet. And they will move around as energy. You'll never see them, and then all of a sudden they'll densify. They'll shift their density and become physical. In a way that they can move stuff around and do different things. So does that mean they're energetic or physical? Well, I mean, everything is energy. So when we say something's non-physical, it's like, well, isn't everything non-physical? Everything's non-physical. None of this is physical. None of this world, this tree isn't physical. None of it's physical. The only reason we say it's physical is because we perceive it that way. That's it. Like, it's physical because we perceive it to be physical. But it's still all energy. That's it. It's all energy, whether you're a gnome, whether you're a dragon in the sky, an angel, whether you're a gargoyle, whether you're an ET on a ship or inside the earth. Everything is energy. And the energy, you could argue energy is physical, but when we're saying this whole idea of like, oh, well, I can see a tree or that, it's like, well, that's just perception. That's nothing more than perception. There are people that I've met before who see with their physical eyes gnomes, angels, stuff standing there. I don't perceive that way often. It's more my mind's eye, my third eye, feeling, layers in my mind, all these senses, all these spiritual senses layer everything together to give me an image. So what I see right now with my trees here, there's gnomes that live by that tree, and I can see one of them sitting out. Two of the other ones are running around, the little children-like ones. But it's like I can see the tree with my physical eyes out there. But in my mind, I see the tree too, and I see the energy and the layer together of what's going on. So they're still physical. To them, they're physical. But are they non-physical because I don't see them? And that's kind of the point. This whole, is something physical, is something non-physical? It's just all perception. So it's a common question, and this video is a little longer than I thought it would be, but the idea is just, in the end, it doesn't matter. A lot of people want to put these labels on beings and being like, oh yeah, it's this, it's that, it's, XYZ, green, blue, red, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. They still exist. Now, how they exist is how you perceive them to exist. If you only believe that they will be energetic, like Arcturians, for example. I've had Arcturians shift density and hold my hand before, through fearful phases and stuff, and shift densities and be in hotel rooms and stuff, have physical form. If you are only willing to experience them as energies, as energetic beings, as rays of light, as orbs, all that, that's all you'll experience, because you limit your experience to that. You limit your ability to perceive them to that. But if you understand that that physicality is just perception, in that something can be a fog 1 second, it can be a bright orb the next, and it can shift into a human form an instant later, you'll have far more experiences that are with a greater number of beings, because you're not limiting yourself to saying, well, everything is one or the other, or that type of thing. You also have far more beautiful experiences, because they'll be able to do whatever they want, basically. And when I say whatever they want, I don't mean intention of good or bad. I mean they'll be able to appear to you their preferred way. Some things, like a dragon once manifested in my home as a man, and he was walking around as a man in a white robe. He could have come down as a dragon. He probably might have been too big to do that or too awkward, but he dropped down and densified into a man. You know, there's a flash of light and boom, there's a man there. And here's the dragon head that was flying above, or I was connected with, had teleported in basically and looked around my house, but not in dragon form. So it was his preferred way of experiencing this world. And I've had gods take many forms. You know, some of them have many forms throughout different cultures, and the reason they have many forms is they have many likenesses that they like to use, maybe lives that they were incarnate as, in it, you know, that likeness that they incarnated as at one point. And so if you only allow yourself to expect one thing, so say the image of a god, for example, if you only allow yourself to expect that that is the way it is, and there's absolutely nothing else, and that's the only way they'll appear to you. But if you allow yourself to open your perception and understand that higher conscious beings can shift their density to become physical, you know, those that are vibrating at far higher rates of speed and who are more energetic, non-physical beings can densify. And when they densify, they can be many things. They can look, you know, like all kinds of stuff. In that there are actually physical beings like us that are not as conscious, not as high vibrational, experiencing the world in a different way. And like right now, at this time, we can't shift our energy, but there will come a time where humans are able to teleport, shift energy, and do those types of things. It's all mind, thought. It's all the power of vibration and the power of our consciousness. So everything is non-physical in the sense that everything is energy. And physicality, the whole point of this that I'm trying to get at, is physicality is perception, nothing more. There's nothing else to it. Oh no, I think a little spider who got on me and isn't doing very, like they get on me and then you kind of rub your hand on them and you gotta help them out to get to the ground. Again, might be a symbol or sign for somebody out there. Sometimes these videos, different things happen and animals appear, and I mention them because it might mean something to somebody watching it. But physicality is perception. That's it. There's no right or wrong answer to it, really, but it's just a perception of the world around us, you know, and it's kind of like the color blue. If you take the color blue and you put it with yellow, I think, I may be wrong on this, but if you put it with yellow and you show it to 10 different people and one of them's colorblind, so you think of it like this, one of them's colorblind. The colors blue and yellow still exist. They're still there. Just because the colorblind person can't see it does not mean they don't exist. The colorblind, I think if you put blue and yellow together, they like just turn blue, if I remember right. You know, red green's another one. Like you can put like a green 7 in a red circle, and all a colorblind person will see is red. It does not mean the green 7 does not exist or that green does not exist. It's still there. But the colorblind person is not able to perceive it because of their senses, the way they perceive the world. So it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean it's not physically there, because it is physically there. It's physically drawn and physically there. It's the same with beings. Just because we can't see them does not mean they're not physical. It's just that we don't have the senses to see them accurately and properly the way we experience the world now. So to other beings, we are colorblind. They are not. They see everything. We only see what our senses allow us to see. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching and listening. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I love you all. If you want to see some galactics around you, I do have spirit art readings and contact codes available, and we can get you connected and get you the tools to connect to the beings around you on your own so that you can experience them, and then maybe figure out, are the beings around you, are they more of our physical nature, or are they more of a higher vibrational nature that can shift densities or look like other things? So let me know if you want to do anything like that. And again, grateful for each and every one of you. Love you all. Good luck contacting and enjoying the magic of the universe and the both the physical and non-physical experiences that we can experience as time goes on. Love you all.